Hello Green Shoppers! Welcome once again to my channel. This is Sir Job and welcome to Sir Job TV. Para sa lahat po ng mga new explorers tsaka newly discovered pa lang po sa aking channel, please don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell for you to be updated with my future videos. So ang ating pag-uusapan sa umagang ito ay tungkol sa topic na motives for exploration. Welcome to my video number 114. So good morning once again, Golden Shoppers. Today is April 28, 2021 and today is Wednesday. Pero patuloy pa rin tayo magbibigay sa inyo ng meaningful discussion here sa aking YouTube channel. So ang pag-uusapan po natin sa umagang ito na kung saan na-mention ko na po sa inyo kanina ay tungkol po sa motives of exploration. Ano-ano ang mga dahilan ng mga Europeans kung bakit sila pumunta dito mismo sa ating bansa. So matutuklasan niyo po sa umagang ito in this particular video na may tatlong pinaka-major reasons po ang mga Europeans why they went here or they visited in the continent of Asia, ladies and gentlemen. So the first one is sa mga motives for exploration. Una po dyan ay ang tinatawag nating European seek gold and spices. Okay? Seek gold and spices. The desire for wealth was the first motive that pushed Europeans to make long voyages of exploration. Okay, so ano ang sinabi? Ang desire po nila for wealth. Because at that time, di ba, na-mention ko na po sa inyo sa aking previous video na they already have developed the sense of consciousness by the virtue of the concept of Renaissance. So that is why ngayon, ang inisip talaga nila is the desire for wealth. Okay, that is the main reason why. Okay, Europeans sought gold and silver as well as luxury goods like sugar and silk which came from Asia. So gold, silver, as well as luxury goods like sugar and silk, ito po yung mga element na kailangan nila in order for them to accumulate wealth, okay? Or para maging powerful ang isang grupo na ito or ang mga Europeans basically talking about. So ito po yung kailangan nilang ma-accumulate. Ito yung mga na-mention ko kanina sa inyo. They also coveted spices from Asia, okay? Which were needed to preserve food, particularly meat, because remember, this is the time of exploration. This is the age of exploration, meaning to say they have to create long voyages from their mother country going to the unknown lands, yung mga uncharted na mga continents or areas of the world at that certain point. So basically, kailangan po talaga nila ito. So aside from gold and silver, kailangan din po nila ang spices basically na kung saan matatagpuan din po ito sa kontinente ng Asia. Spices accented the bland taste of meat and fish. Basically, ito po yung kanyang purpose, 'di ba? Para mas maging palatable yung ating taste sa ating mga niluluto, okay, sa ating mga pagkain. Of course, we need spices. Not only before, but even today, ginagamit po natin. Pero kaiba sa kanilang panahon because aside from making food palatable, okay, sa kanila, while preserving them in the absence of refrigeration. So meaning to say, aside from making the food tasty, kailangan din po nila ang mga spices in order to preserve the food or the meat na kung saan kailangan po talaga sa long voyages. Malalaman niyo po kung gaano kahirap ang voyage pag nag-discuss na tayo sa Magellan's Expedition patungo dito sa bansang Pilipinas because definitely napakahirap po talking about the preservation of food and how they could be able to consume and to budget the food in order for them to survive kung saan po ang target location ng mga grupong ito. So ganun po, to preserve the meat, one of the important uses of spices at that particular point in time. So expensive were spices like black pepper. I am sure you are familiar with the concept of black pepper in today's time kasi meron pa rin namang black pepper ngayon that it could buy, talking about black pepper that it could buy land, pay taxes, liberate a city, and even to pay dowries. Ganun po ka-precious ang black pepper ng mga panahong yon or spices in general in the preservation of food. So ganun po ka expensive para sa kanila. So kung meron ka nito, Okay, Europeans were thinking that time nga, kung meron sila nito, if they own this one, so magiging powerful sila, magiging wealthy sila as a group of people because definitely the world needs this particular spices. Hindi lamang po ang mga taga Spain, but also taga Portugal and other mga navigators from different parts of the Europe. Okay, at the time. So, very important that they could be able to access this particular product specifically in the continent of Asia. As Fernand Braudel commented, everything depended on it, even in the dreams of the 15th century explorers. So lahat po ay naka-anchor doon sa konsepto ng gold and silver, mga luxury things, and of course, with the concept of the importance of spices at a certain point. Naka-anchor po doon ang kanilang goal, why they need to look for other territory in order for them to access this particular products. In the 11th century, talking about pepper was even meticulously counted out by peppercorns. And when dried, cinnamon and ginger were weighed with window shut list, the wind blow away their smallest priceless particles. So meaning to say, in our own explanation or simple explanation on this one, yung mga pepper, for example, o bawat particle po ng mga dried na mga spices, napakahalaga po sa kanila na kung titimbangin po daw ito accordingly sa panahon ng 11th century, kailangan naka-close po ang windows, naka-close ang doors, kailangan wala po talagang hangin na labas-pasok sa isang area na kung saan tinitimbang po ang mga spices na ito. That's how very important considering the presence of the spices, talking about the 11th century. At up until 15th century, nagkaroon pa rin ito ng importance, the same as how they valued long before, talking about the existence of the spices. So ganun po kahalaga ang bagay na ito para sa mga Europeans. That is why ito po yung isa sa mga reasons why they really need to travel far from their motherland. So ganun po ang konsepto. Besides spices, gold, slaves, kasi ito po yung mga marketable before. As I said to you before, even the slaves can be sold. Okay? Considered po sila as mga properties. Okay. Besides spices, balikan natin, gold, slaves, and silk spurred men to trade in these highly regarded commodities which brought them great wealth. Kasi kung meron ka nito, of course, magiging mayaman ka talaga. Kasi ito yung mga marketable during those times. Meaning to say, ito yung mga hinahanap. Kung sa ating panahon ngayon, we have the pandemic, we are looking for the face shield and the face mask and other mga health materials na pwede nating pang-protection for that particular virus. Noon sa kanilang panahon, ito yung pinaka-kailangan talaga. Ito yung pinaka-high regarded na mga commodities. Ito yung mga spices, gold, slaves, and the silk, of course. Merchants suddenly became important in the eyes of the people. Business became the head turner of the people before. Kasi nakita nila, uy, may pera sa negosyo, may pera sa pagbi-business. So that is why people are looking for that particular transaction at the end of the day. And they not only became richer, but also powerful in the more famous trading cities of Italy. So because they have the money, of course, the next kasi ng pera, the power or the control. Okay, you will become powerful because you have money. That is basically true even in the history. And up until today, ganun naman pala pa rin ang kalakaran ng buhay natin, di ba? If you have the money, if you have the resources, you are powerful. So, ganun pa rin po ang buhay nila even sa pagpasok pa lang mismo or the age of exploration talking about. The tremendous profits European trade brought to nation states, particularly to the two countries na pinaka-rivals before. We have the Portugal and Spain, intensified European rivalries for the fabled source of Oriental products that we are talking. Because remember, talking about Europe as a continent, malawak po yan, malaki po yan. And we are just simply talking Portugal and Spain this time. Pero sa mga iba't ibang parts ng European continent, marami rin pong mga navigators from different countries. So, This particular event led to the intensification of conflict, no, between these particular countries inside the continent of Europe at the end of the day. Kasi nakita nila na on the part of Spain and Portugal, nagiging isang lucrative po ito na process para sa kanila. So that is why others also from that particular continent would like also to try this particular process at the end of the day. Intensified European rivalries. But of course, ang pinakasikat talagang rivals nito is ang Portugal at saka Spain. Okay. So dito nagkaroon ng development ang konsepto ng tinatawag nating monopoly. Okay? Pag sinabi kong monopoly in the definition, the executive control of all or nearly all trade and production in a certain product. So meaning to say, kung babalikan natin yung pre-colonial na diniscuss ko sa inyo, di ba sinabi ko doon, ang buhay ng mga Filipinos before, meron silang konsepto ng subsistence economy wherein they produce only of what they needed for a certain period of time, correct? But at this particular point in history, because of the version of monopoly na ikukontrol niya ang isang lugar, okay, specifically the products or the agricultural produce of that particular area, meaning to say, ako ang magtatakda ng itatanim dyan, for example, okay, ako ang magtatakda kung ano ang mangyayari sa mga produktong nandito sa lugar na ito. That is the monopoly, the executive control of all or nearly all trade and production in a certain product. So, ganun po ang konsepto na-develop. Aside from the development of monopoly, meron din tayong konsepto ng mercantilism. Pag sinabi naman natin mercantilism, an economic policy that stress the accumulation of wealth, okay, like gold and silver, the founding colonies and the regulation of their trade, and the making of profit from the foreign trade. Basically, ang highlight natin dito pag sinabi kong mercantilism or the concept of mercantilism, highlight natin dito is stress the accumulation of wealth, okay? So meaning to say, because na monopolize mo na in connection to mercantilism, kailangan ma-accumulate ko yung wealth ng isang lugar na ito. Basically, nangyari sa ating bansa yan. I hope you are familiar with the concept of the drain theory. The drain theory suggests that lahat ng resources mo, i-drain ko papunta sa akin, papunta to my motherland. That is actually the concept of colonization basically. So ito yung pinaka starting line nila. No, they have to accumulate the wealth because they already monopolize everything. So now the second step is to accumulate wealth. So yun ang first na motibo, no, ng mga Europeans kung bakit sila napadpad or pumunta dito sa kontinente ng Asia. Secondly, we have the European seek alternative routes. Okay? So basically, pag sinabi kong alternative, kasi yung dati nilang dinadaanan ay hindi na po nila pwedeng gamitin. Ano ang nangyari? Okay. In the 100 years from the mid-15th to mid-16th century, a combination of circumstances stimulated men to seek new roads, okay? And it was new roads rather than new lands that filled the minds of kings and commoners, scholars, and the seamen. Because long before talking about, naisip nila na ngayon mas safe na they would have to travel using the sea routes, okay? Over the land roads, because that was the starting point of the conflict also of different people, especially the existence of the Muslim communities and of course the Christian communities, talking about the European people from the Iberian Peninsula, considering, okay, that particular situation. So that is why they are now thinking of traveling. Okay, aside from the fact na hindi na safe ang land routes, they are now thinking of going beyond their territories, okay, their continent in particular. So that is the reason why kailangan po talaga nilang mag-discover ng mga sea routes. This is how they understood the situation. For centuries, Muslim traders had controlled the rich land and sea trade routes to Asia. So kontrolado po ito, yung usual nilang dinadaanan noon ay naging kontrolado po ito ng mga Muslim traders from Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea. Ganun po ang nangyari. The Ottoman Turks and the Venetians controlled the commercial access to the Mediterranean and ancient sea routes from the east. So, pag sinabi kong Ottoman Turks, para meron kayong background, from Ottoman Empire, historical empire po ito, Eurasia, a combination of Eurasia and Africa talking about. So, makikita nyo po sa inyong screen ngayon, yung mapa mismo na pinag-uusapan natin. 'Di ba? Nakita nyo po dyan, meron pong blue na line and of course, meron pong red na line. So, sa red na line po, yan po actually ang dating dinadaanan nila papunta dito sa Asia, particularly ang kontinente natin. Pero because hindi na po yan pinapadaanan ngayon, kasi nga nagkaroon ng conflict ang Christian at saka ng Muslim traders, so that is why naging kontrolado na po ang area niyan. Yung red line na pinapakita ko sa inyo sa mapa, hindi na pwedeng daanan. So ngayon, kailangan nilang mag-isip ng another area which is yung blue line, yan po ang panibagong ruta actually that they discovered na later on makikita natin kung paano nila dinugtong-dugtong ang mga situation para lang makarating sila mismo sa kontinente ng Asia basically. In 1453, the Ottoman Turks during the Sultanate of Fatih Muhammad took the Constantinople, later on Istanbul, ending the Byzantine Empire. The Muslims now ruled from the Danube River along the entire Black Sea. So ipakita ko sa inyo ngayon, nasa screen niyo makikita ninyo, yan po ang sinasabi nating Danube River at saka yung Black Sea na kung saan sa baba ng area na yan, makikita mo yung Mediterranean Sea na kung saan dinadaanan nila noon. Okay, yung ruta na pinakita ko sa inyo, yung merong red line kanina, yan po ang dati lang dinadaanan na kung saan nandyan po din nakalocate ang tinatawag nating Black Sea or the Danube River na kung saan na-control din po ito ng mga Muslim traders. So that is the reason why or that pushes them to look for another area or to look for another sea route na makarating pa rin sila sa Asia. Okay, as a continent na tinatawag nating doon makikita ang mga oriental products na very essential po sa mga panahong yun. So yun po siya. Number 3 na pag-uusapan natin is religious zeal encourages expansionism. A desire to spread Christianity was one of the reasons. Okay, was another reason for the European voyages to distant parts of the world. The Christian nation in Europe believed that they had an obligation to spread their faith. So kailangan po part of that particular voyages na gagawin nila in going to Asia is kailangan mag-expand din po yung religion na Christianity in the continent of Asia. That is why if we're going to read the history of the world, no, they successfully talaga invaded Philippines and they successfully also introduced the religion Roman Catholicism that up until today pinapractice at dominant pa rin siya na religion dito sa bansang Pilipinas. Okay? So that is, they even regarded this obligation as a destiny. So considering as a European, it is my task, okay, to spread the word of God far from my mother country. So that is why ito po ay part din sa kanilang mga motives of conquering some of the lands in the continent of Asia. So basically, ganun po ang nangyari. And they successfully, as I said to you, na ma-introduce ito sa bansang Pilipinas. In line with the third motives, they also developed the concept of reconquista or the reconquest, which means the struggle and determination of the European to recover Iberian Peninsula from the Muslims and to destroy the religion of the Muslims and convert the people to Christianity. Okay? Because as I said to you sa ating mga previous discussion, nagkaroon po ng rivals ang mga Christian at saka yung mga Muslims at a time in talking about the Europe as a continent. Okay? So in order for them na ma-destroy yung propagation of Islam, okay, kailangan magkaroon ng konsepto ng reconquest. Meaning to say, kailangan we have to find another territory. We have to look for another group of people that they could be able to be introduced with a kind of religion that we are practicing. So that is why. Because talking about Islam, nauna na po siyang ma-introduce here in the Philippines, talking about because of that lucrative trading that occurred in the past prior to the exploration of these particular Europeans. Okay, di ba? Kung inyong babalikan. So, kailangan kailangan ma-destroy whatever things na na-introduce already in Asia from this particular group of people talking about the Muslims. Okay, kailangan ma-destroy. So that's one of also of the reasons of the Europeans of coming here in Asia. So now let's proceed with our discussion talking about or introducing to you the Iberian Peninsula that we are talking. So in your screen right now, makikita ninyo ang Spain at saka Portugal as a continent, and of course that to be considered as the Iberian Peninsula, of course, talking about the continent of Europe. So yung naka-pink na color dyan, kung makikita ninyo, yan po ang Portugal. So considering their location, kung makikita nyo dyan sa inyong screen, mas malaki po ang location actually ng Spain kaysa sa Portugal. Okay, however, talking about the Iberian Peninsula, considering Portugal and Spain, the favorable location of Portugal on the sea route made the country seek share in the profitable overseas trade. Okay, kasi kung babalikan natin ang mapa, tingnan nyo ng mabuti, okay, yung Lisbon po, which is the capital of Portugal, actually nakaharap po siya sa malaking tubig. Okay, which is mas favorable po sa mga Portuguese. Okay, ang tinatawag niya nating sea route or the new sea route na create po actually ng mga grupong ito, ng mga taga-Iberian Peninsula talking about. So, mas favorable po ang location ng mga Portuguese actually. Moreover, Portugal was the first country to use innovation in seamanship. And because sa mga panahong ito, the age of exploration talking about, very important na meron tayong advanced na mga ships to travel long distance. Okay? So basically, because na-develop ito ahead of time sa mga grupo ng nakatira sa Portugal, mas naging favorable po sa kanila ang situation ng age of exploration talking about. Okay? So, bakit nga ba naging advanced ang innovation ng seamanship dito sa Portugal? Because of the presence of Prince Henry. Okay? Bakit po? His interest in ships and sailing helped Portugal move ahead wealthier European states in the search for sea route to India. Because of his interest, okay, na mag-develop ng mga ships, ng mga advanced na ships, and how to sail properly in this unknown land, mas naging advanced po, okay, ang mga ideas na na-develop ng mga Portuguese over other European countries, especially talking the rival na mga Spaniards, okay, in the sense, in comparison with this kind of development, talking about the age of exploration. He himself made no voyages. Itong si Prince Henry actually, hindi siya nagta-travel, hindi siya nagna-navigate, okay? He himself made no voyages, but his success in advancing knowledge of the sea caused English writers to call him the navigators, quote unquote. Okay? He established the first navigational school in the globe. Take note po ninyo ito, si Prince Henry po ay nag-establish ng first navigational school in globe. So basically, tinuruan niya po ang mga Portuguese how to navigate, how to conquer unknown lands, for example, or how to do long travels at that certain point. And very important ito because we are talking with the age of exploration. So mas naging advanced po talaga ang mga Portuguese over the Spaniards, okay, in this particular situation. So because of that particular school na create ni Prince Henry, and of course mga knowledge ng advance in seamanship, nagkaroon ng samot-saring travels o gigaling sa bansang Portugal. The first one in the presence of Bartolomeu Diaz. He rounded the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa in 1487. Ipapakita ko po sa inyo sa screen, kung makikita nyo po dyan, southern tip of Africa, makikita nyo po sa pinakadulo ng mapa ng Africa na ito, nandyan sa screen nyo ngayon, mababasa nyo po ang Cape of Good Hope, okay, na kung saan, yan po actually ang narating, okay, ni Bartolomeu Diaz in 1487, the southern tip of Africa. Narating po yan ni Bartolomeu Diaz. So right after Bartolomeu Diaz, makikita nyo sa mapa ngayon, sinundan po ito ni Vasco da Gama. He sailed sailed beyond the Cape of Good Hope and reached India in 1498. Panoorin nyo po ang mapa because right after the Cape of Good Hope, makikita nyo yan, going to Asia, madadaanan po natin ang tinatawag nating Indian Ocean na kung saan mas nag-extend po ang coverage na narating ng second explorer na si Vasco da Gama. Okay, because si Bartolomeo Diaz hanggang sa tip of South Africa lang siya sa continent. Kung makikita ninyo at ma-observe sa map. Pero itong si Vasco da Gama, mas nag-extend ang kanyang narating because nakarating po siya sa Indian Ocean. Okay? The next one is Pedro Cabral. He tried to retrace Vasco da Gama's route. Sinundan niya po yung dinaanan ni Vasco da Gama, cited Brazil kasi kung makikita natin sa world map, ang Africa is katabi lang po yan ng Latin America or the South America talking about. So that is why na-discover po ng third explorer ng Portugal, which is in the person of Pedro Cabral, ang country ng Brazil. Okay, that immediately claimed it for Portugal in 1500. So because Portuguese navigator si Cabral, so nung nakita niya po ang Brazil, immediately he claimed na ito po ay part ng country Portugal, ang Brazil at the time. Pero hindi pa yung tinawag na Brazil before, wala pa talaga yung mga pangalan. We are talking about the age of exploration right now. Hanggang sa in the year 1511, talking about the fall of Malacca. So the extended, mas narating na po nila ang Asia ngayong the year of 1511, the fall of Malacca. The wealth of Malacca aroused the invade of Portugal, and in 1511, Portuguese Viceroy Alfonso de Albuquerque captured the city. Okay, so meaning to say from Cabral, okay, hanggang sa dumating tayo sa existence ni Alfonso de Albuquerque na kung saan finally Portuguese captured the city of Malacca. Okay, so in 1511 po yan naganap. So now let's proceed to Spain as part of this particular history of the age of exploration. So Portugal's colonizing rival was Spain. Like Portugal, Spain hoped to reach India by sea. Diba sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, rivals po sila ang Portugal at saka Spain talaga. They are aiming to reach Asia by using another route kasi hindi nga po sila pwedeng dumaan doon sa dating ruta which is shorter sana yung travel. Kaya lang hindi na sila pwedeng gumamit doon. So that is why aiming po ang dalawang bansa na ito na makarating po sa Asia gamit po ang mga new routes na kanilang create. The discovery of an Atlantic route to Asia was somewhat delayed, okay, because of the ignorance and fear of the sea among navigators talking about. Kasi, of course, they believe, di ba sinabi ko sa inyo, most of them believe that the world was flat at the time, okay, kasi wala pa po talagang nakadiscover niyan, not unless, okay, it was circumnavigated by Magellan. Sa sinabi ko sa inyo, it was circumnavigated by the expedition of Magellan, pero si Magellan po, hindi na po siya nakabalik going to Iberian Peninsula. Pag-uusapan po natin yan sa kanyang mismong expedition, okay, from the Iberian Peninsula going back to the Iberian Peninsula kasi nawalan po or nagtapos po ang buhay ni Magellan sa Mactan when he fought with the group of Lapu-Lapu na pag-uusapan natin sa aking mga next video. Pero sa punto ng world history, ito po talaga yung nangyari. Nahirapan po ang mga Espanyol na mag-navigate even kasi advanced po ang mga Portuguese. But if we are going to talk about the Spaniards, medyo nahirapan po sila to navigate because of the concept that the world was flat talking about. So, at hindi po nila alam kung ano po ang pwedeng mangyari sa kanila in the navigation. So, on the part of the Spaniards, medyo natagalan po sila, okay, na ma-develop po ang mga navigation na ito sa kanilang bansa. So, let's start now with the contribution of Christopher Columbus. Itong si Cristoforo Colombo, he was an Italian sailor from Genoa who proposed to the King of Portugal, okay, una siyang nag-propose sa King of Portugal to sail using the westward going to the east but failed. Okay, meaning to say, na-decline po ang kanyang offer. So that is why he got the support coming from the Queen Isabella of Spain to find India by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean in 1492, na kung saan itong si Christopher Columbus or Cristoforo Colombo, okay, kung tawagin in Italy sa kanilang bansa, okay, ay nakakita po or he found, okay, the North America, na kung saan tawagin natin ngayon as North America as a continent, and particularly the country USA. Okay, una po itong na-discover ni Christopher Columbus actually in the year of 1492 nung naglayag po siya going to Asia, okay, using the new route. Okay, however, hindi po ito kinonsider ni Christopher Columbus as a new continent. Bagkus, according to the claim of Christopher Columbus, ang bansang kanyang na-discover that supposedly, if we're going to interpret in today's time, ito po ay ang America or the North America to be considered. Pero according to the claim of Christopher Columbus, ang kanya pong na-discovered in 1492 was actually part of the continent of Asia. Kasi nga super excited silang ma-discover ang Asia at the time. Kasi yun ang pinaka-target nila. So hindi talaga claim ni Christopher Columbus na ang kanyang na-discover ay ang North America at the time. So because ang kanyang travel ay nasundan ni Amerigo Vespucci, which is also an Italian explorer who sailed in Portuguese expedition to the New World. Okay, the word America came from his name. So that is why tinawag po yang America because coming po yan sa pangalan ni Amerigo Vespucci. He said that by following Cabral's sighting of Brazil, kasi sinundan niya po yung third explorer ng Portuguese, okay, or ng Portugal rather. So sighting of Brazil, he discovered a Mundos Novos or tinawag nitong New World or a New World. This led to the naming of the New World after him instead after Columbus, its real explorer. Kasi nung nakita po ito at na-discover po ito ni Amerigo Vespucci, talagang claim niya po. He claimed that this particular land, it's outside from the continent of Europe. Iba pong kontinente ito. The New World or the Mundos Novos na una pong na-discover in 1492 ni Christopher Columbus. Kaya lang, according to the claim, 'di ba? Hindi po ito claim ni Christopher as a new continent, but a part of Asia as a continent. So that is why, nung ma-discover ito ni Amerigo Vespucci, telling to the world that this is a new continent and there is already a map, no, presenting na iba po ang kontinente na na-discover ni Amerigo Vespucci. That is why, even if si Christopher Columbus ang unang nakadiscover nito or nakakita nito, ang pangalan pong America was patterned in the name of Amerigo Vespucci, telling to the world or proving to the world that when he discovered this particular land, this is outside the continent of Europe, according to the claim. So yan po ang kasaysayan. That's one of the reasons why hindi ipinangalan kay Christopher Columbus ang bansang USA, but rather it was named after Amerigo Vespucci. So that will be all for this morning. I hope you learned something from this video and I hope that you will share this video to your friends and to anybody else that you think na kailangan ng video nito. Asahan niyo po that Sir Jeff TV will continue to discuss more meaningful discussions, especially in the world of social sciences. Thank you once again for watching. Bye-bye!